Hello. Not sure who's there already. You have any viewers?
Yes.
Eva, are there any viewers yet?
Yep, we're starting.
Okay.
No.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first ever Attract Now online summit. I just want to say welcome and hope you're excited as I am to be doing this relationship summit. So Eva Ford will be my co-facilitator, and she's managing the page and also presenting today. So I am very happy. She has many roles tonight. Um, so Eva, can you tell me how many people are on the call already?
We've just got a few people here, about maybe two. It's coming in and out, but
Okay.
hey, we can keep rolling.
All right. So I wanted to tell you that we're going to have an amazing lineup of presenters in the next coming days. They're going to be talking about relationship and giving love advice and talking about strategies on how you can attract, date, and keep the man of your dreams. I know how hard it is right now for us single ladies to really attract high quality men. And that was one of the reasons why I decided to come up with this, summit. I myself is a relationship coach and also a social worker, and I've worked with many relationship dynamics. And I can tell you from my own experience, it was really hard finding my soulmate. And I struggled for many, many years. And it took me some time, some soul searching. And, while I was soul searching, I came across so many women, so many smart, intelligent, beautiful women that was having the same problems. And I didn't really understand why. So I thought to myself, why not get a panel of all these wonderful experts, including myself and Eva Ford, and really help women out there to learn the tools and strategies to really attract that special person in your life, because we all need love. We all desire love, whether it's a platonic relationship or an intimate relationship. Love is very important in the human, dynamic in relationships. So I'm really happy for all of you being a part of this. So I'm going to give just a few more minutes to get some more people on our webinar, and then
We've got about
welcome.
four now.
We have four. Great. I'm glad. Today we're going to have, you'll be able to ask the presenter. Eva Ford will be presenting today, and you'll be able to ask her questions. You can either go on to the Facebook event page and post it directly to the wall. And, once we have a Q&A session later, you'll be able to, ask that burning question. Another way that you can ask that question is by sending me a direct email. My email address is info, dot Shaniel, SHAWNIEL, Bullock, BULLOCK, at gmail.com. I will post that in the comments section on the YouTube page, so you can also just click directly on that, just for your knowledge. So I am going to post that right now for you.
You want to introduce us?
All right, so I have posted that. You probably heard me speaking again, but so both ways to Ask Eva Questions tonight will be posted. So let me tell you a little bit about this summit. We are going to have 6 presenters, including myself. Eva will kick off our event tonight, and she will be talking about how to become the sexy, irresistible, confident woman that men want to date. Because I know that speaking to a lot of men, they really desire someone that knows what they want. They have, high self-esteem, and they just, are really confident. And I know for myself, it took me some time to work on that, to really know what I want, to really not put up with the BS, because sometimes when you don't know your self-worth, it's easy for you to attract the wrong type of guys. So Eva today will be talking about that. Eva Ford is a world-renowned social worker. She got her degree at Columbia University. She's also my business coach. She's a part of the Rich Social Work movement, which is helping social workers like myself gain the confidence to, acquire wealth, be a part of a business. So I know from speaking firsthand, I was a part of her summit, a couple of months ago, and it was really helpful. Now here I am doing my own summit on something that I really love, and I know that will help you. So Eva, I know we're waiting for a few more people, but it'll be really great to start. I know we're going to be here till 8 o'clock.
Yeah, I'm happy to start. So great. Hi, everybody. I'm going to share my screen. So maybe some people could probably see my picture at the bottom, but tonight I just have a few slides, emphasis on few. But thanks for that introduction, Chanel. You have been an awesome dream client, and I'm really excited for you to be doing your own summit, and I'm so grateful to have this opportunity to actually help you, share what it is that your expertise. And luckily, I happen to have that. I happen to have worked with women and people in relationships as well. So it's a privilege for me to be able to share some of the insights that I have. And it's so interesting because for a long time, as you said, okay, I'm a social worker as well. And I myself have relationship, I'm a woman and I've had a history of relationships. And it was interesting that even throughout, getting my degrees and finding success, and I say that in success in air quotes, in different areas of my life, one of the areas that just really seemed to elude me for a while was this love part of things. And I really started doing a lot of work and introspection and reading on relationships and just trying to fill in the gaps in my understanding of why my relationships weren't going the way I wanted them to. I would meet really nice guys, and I always say, my exes are nice guys, but they were always unavailable in some form or another. Either they were emotionally unavailable, or physically, they weren't there, or in one way or another, it just never seemed to work out in my favor. And it would really get me frustrated. And I felt like, hey, I'm supposed to know how to deal with people and work with people, and I can't even, make relationships in my own life work. So it was after much searching and soul searching, as well as research, that I was able to really identify what was the missing link, or I should say, what was the challenge in my relationships, and it was me. It was always me, and I heard this great quote that said, the common denominator in every one of your failed relationships is you. And I thought about that. I said, well, that's true, which means, I can't, at some point, I can't keep blaming the guy, right? I've got to take some sort of responsibility and figure out what it was about me that wasn't working. Let me just make sure. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Pitbull.
Yes, I can
So,
see it. Mhm.
okay, great. Okay, that means everybody else should be able to see it as well. So, let's look at a few women, types of women that I have been in my past, and maybe you have been or um, in your life as well. So, we've got, sorry, come on, there you go. We've got a few different types of women, and I've been all of these women. And if you can see, the first one is the victim. And I like to think of the victim as the woman who is always complaining and blaming her situation and her circumstance on someone else or something else. And the reason why the victim woman never works is because nobody likes a victim.
Hold on.
I mean,
Eva, give me 1 second. Someone's saying that they can't see your screen, the
oh,
audience.
really?
So let me
Mhm.
just make sure.
They might need to refresh their page if it's just, if everybody else could let us know if they're seeing it or not. Um, refresh your page.
Oh, they said that they can only see me.
Oh, okay. I think I know why. Hold on. Okay. That should be, can they see it now? That should be better, actually. It should be fixed.
Okay, I'm just checking in with someone. See if they
Okay.
can see it.
Okay.
Thank you, Shanae, for that.
Thanks, Shanae.
No, they can only. Well, when I clicked on it, I can still only see me.
Really? You can only see yourself?
Okay, I can see it now.
Okay. All right. So maybe there's just a little delay in the server.
Okay.
Um, can she see it now? Maybe she can let you know if she can see it or not. These are the technical difficulties that happen sometimes. But hopefully you guys can see. Plus, I'll really explain everything, and this is recorded.
Okay, she
So
sees it now. You can go ahead.
okay, okay, great. So there's a victim, and like I said, I've been all of these women. I've been that victim, but the reason why being a victim doesn't work if you're really trying to attract the man of your dream is because nobody wants to be around a victim. Um, you know, if you're in that victim mentality, it's always someone else's fault, and you have no power. And that's really the challenge of being able to attract the man that you want. If you are never in a position of power, if you're always blaming someone else, or it's never um, it's never because of you, or he was late so I was upset and he made me mad. That's that victim mentality, and it's not something that men or women appreciate. I mean, hey, I used to work at a domestic violence shelter, and these women had legitimate issues of why they were, in the shelter because someone else was beating them. But it was only the women that were able to take some ownership to say, you know what, um, I've made some decisions here that weren't good for me. Only those are the women that were successful and were able to get out and save their lives in many cases. But it was those ones with that victim mentality that said, oh, if I hadn't done this and if I hadn't done that, those are the ones that continued that cycle, and it just never worked out. So that victim mentality is something that you want to stay as far away from as possible. So my challenge to you is to consider whether or not you play the victim in your relationships, if you've ever done it in the past, if you've ever blamed someone else, if you've ever, you know, wanted to make it seem like you were the one in the right and that person was the wrong one in the wrong, if that's your, if that's the way that you lean most of the time, then possibly you have a victim mentality, and that's not doing you any favors. So my advice is to really list some of those things that you say, or some of the, maybe some of the situations that you've been a part of in the past, and see if and where you've played the victim, and vow never to do that again. All right. The other type of woman, another type of woman is the independent. Now, it's great to be independent. You know, Beyonce is all about the independent women, and you know, we have all these feminists today. So it's great to be independent, but it's not great when you're independent to the exclusion of men around you. And a lot of times this comes out sounding like they're, you know, there's no good, I shouldn't say there's no good men. That's more of the bitter woman. But the independent woman is, you know, I can do it myself. I don't need you to open my car door. And I can pay my own bills. I don't need you for that. And, you know, hey, I only want you for a one night stand, and then you can leave when we're done. Listen, if that's the lifestyle you want to lead, okay, that's you. But don't expect to find a good man, or a man that's going to stick around um, with that kind of attitude. Men are wired to be protectors, to be caregivers, to be caretakers. And when women take that role, the man feels useless. He feels like there's nothing I need to do. I'm not needed here. Men need to feel needed. And so, women, if you're really looking for a good man, you'll let him open your car door. In fact, you may even require that. Um, you will let him pay for dinner. You will let him, make reservations. Now, this is not to say that you give over all of your power, but I just want to acknowledge that this is a mentality that a lot of us can get into. And again, I've been here before, so don't feel any way if I'm talking to you and stepping on toes. um, men are not attracted to women who can do everything themselves. You know, they feel like, okay, what am I here for? What am I needed for? And again, that's not how men are wired. Men are wired to be caretakers and providers. And so, if you want a really good man, you want to attract a good man, let him do that for you. Um, I'm really interested to hear if there are any comments or questions as I go along. So, Chanel, if anybody's saying anything, feel free to interrupt me. The next woman or type of woman is the clueless woman. And I have a picture up here of from that movie Clueless. I don't know if you've seen it before, but yeah, and that's just a woman who is not, she's not she's not read, um she's not skilled in anything. She's kind of just sitting there taking up space. She doesn't contribute to conversations. Um, she doesn't have any interests of her own, and she doesn't know where to look or to find other interesting people or other interesting ideas or topics to help bring to the table. So, for the most part, a clueless girl is one that's just, you know, not contributing to the relationship at all, but someone who just kind of sits around expecting everyone to do things for her, expecting a man to just kind of come and sweep her off her feet, and she doesn't have to do anything. She doesn't have to have intelligent conversation with him. She doesn't have to be interested in him. She doesn't have to, like I said, be intelligent herself. She doesn't have to have her own interests. That's someone that I call clueless. Guys don't like clueless girls. Now, the truth is, they'll sleep with clueless girls all day, but they're not taking a clueless girl home to mom. That is not the type of woman that men want to be seen with. They want to be seen with intelligent women who have something to contribute to conversations. They want to be seen with women who have their own interests. maybe have their own careers, or who are taking care of business on their own, or who have, their own, let's say they have their own workout routines, or they have a life in their own right. That's the type of man a woman, that's the type of woman, I'm sorry, a man wants. Men are curious by nature as well, and they want to figure out women. But if we don't have any if we don't bring any, what should I say, any type of content to the relationship, then there's nothing that will keep a man interested for very long. So that's what I call the clueless woman. Now, the next type of woman is the bitter woman. And the bitter woman is, we've all known a bitter woman, or maybe we are bitter ourselves. And what I would say is, if you are any one of what I've talked about, the victim, the independent, the clueless, or the bitter woman, the best thing for you to do is really to take some time to first identify which one of these you are. And actually, we're going to get into a little bit more of what to do to gain that confidence. But
Eva,
if you're a bitter woman, yes?
sorry, Delissa has a question.
Oh, sure, great.
She says, as for the how do you allow yourself to depend on your man if you can really do most things on your own?
Okay. Well, it's something, if you can do most things on your own, you may want, well, the truth is, you can't do everything on your own. That's the truth. Or you, maybe you can, but consider, do you want to? Do you like to? And, I would want to ask her, is she currently in a relationship? Or is it that she's looking for a relationship? Because if she's currently in a relationship and doing things on her own, most things on her own, I can imagine that her mate is probably feeling inadequate or inept.
Mm-hmm.
But if she is looking for a relationship and she feels like she can do things on her own, then I would really want to challenge that thought and say, look, yes, maybe you can do some things on your own. And like I said, men like women who are independent, but not to the emasculinity of the man. So, very simple example, I can open my own door. I have two hands, and I've done it all the time. I drive myself, I can open my own door. However, when I'm with my mate, I allow him to open the door for me. And I don't try to push in front of him to open my own door. I don't try to push in front of him to, drive if he wants to drive. I allow him to take care of me. And again, a real man who loves you will want to take care of you and will be good at it. Or, you can also teach him how to take care of you. But if you're constantly taking care of yourself, maybe because you are used to it, then I would just challenge you to take a step back and start to practice letting him take care of you. Start to practice letting him do things for you that you're used to doing on your own. I hope that answers the question. I don't know, but you have to start to practice.
Yeah,
And you've got to.
she said, I think he notices that I'm very independent, so I try to ask him for favors just to give him that chance. Okay, that's good stuff.
Yeah, well then that's good. That's really good. I I think too, it may be good to think about what you can't do or what you would rather not do. So, you know, I would rather not. This is an example. I can buy my own plane ticket. Let's say that, and I do. You know, if I'm traveling, but sometimes because my partner loves to do that, he loves to look at discounts, and he loves to make sure that things are kind of in order. I just delegate that to him. I just say, "Hey, hon, can you do this for me?" And I look at it in the way that, hey, it's freeing up time for me, and it's also allowing him to do something that he loves to do for me. He
Yeah.
loves to do it anyway, and then the fact that he's doing it for me makes him feel really good as well. So we both win. That's something I don't have to think about, and that's something he gets to do. So I would just say, think about ways that you can give him, more responsibility in your life, if that's something that he likes to do. I mean, like, you know, if he hates to do something, he might, the truth is, men will do things for you if they love you, and they'll do it willingly and happily. If they love you, if they care about you, they will. Yeah.
And just to interject, I identify as an independent woman, in this presentation. And, when I started dating, my boyfriend now, it was hard for me to let go of some of that independence. It was hard for me to allow him to do things for me, even buy me things. And I really had to submit a little bit. I had to look at him wanting to be a man, wanting to be the provider, and kind of changing, a little bit of who I was, because I was so used to being independent. That's what we're taught to do. But I had to kind of let that, step back a little bit, and it really did help our relationship. And there are things that he hates doing, and I'll do it for him. It's just communicating and really sharing that role.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a beautiful thing when it works.
Hmm.
I think when men and women can figure out that balance, it's really awesome, and it's fun. It's great. So thanks for that question. Anything else, or can I go on?
You can go on.
Okay, great. So we've all known, I was talking about the bitter woman, and I've been bitter in the past. It was a long time ago. I'm so glad I'm over that. But the bitter woman does not, allow any, it does not allow the man to kind of catch a break. This is the woman that says, all men are dogs, or, men are evil, or if, let's say something happens, where it could be assumed that a man was in the wrong. They're going to assume that the man was in the wrong without without even first looking at the other side of the story. But bitter women, usually the story goes, maybe they have some daddy issues, and their father wasn't there, or there were different men coming into their lives when they were growing up, or maybe they've had a really hard breakup or several rough breakups. And again, the bitter woman usually isn't able to take any ownership of the responsibility in the relationship, in terms of what she's contributed. And it's really unfortunate, because a lot of great women are bitter women. They're getting older. No man has asked them to marry them yet, or they can't have a kid because they haven't, they were in a relationship for several years, and the guy never proposed, or whatever. But bitterness does not help you, and you will definitely not be able to attract a man if you're bitter. Men run like the plague from bitter women, and they can spot you a mile away. You've usually got a scowl on your face, or every other sentence out of your word is something condemnatory. So again, if this is you, if you're bitter, if you have any anger towards any of your exes, or towards your father, or towards any men in your life, your male boss, or God, or whoever, check that. Look at it. Take a good long look at where you might have some of that bitterness in your life, and start to ask yourself questions like, hey, if I am bitter, why is what is this bitterness doing for me? Because the truth is, if you're holding on to bitterness, then it must be benefiting you in some way. And people say, no, it's not benefiting me at all. Men are just jerks. But the truth is, you can release yourself from some of that bitterness. But if you're holding on to it, it just means that being bitter maybe helps you to justify why you're single, or being bitter helps you to uh, make sense of the relationships that that you've had that have gone wrong. So, look at it and take some ownership of what that bitterness is doing for you. And then if you really want to attract the man of your dreams, you got to decide first to let it go. It won't be easy, but start with wanting the desire, having the desire to let that bitterness go. Um, I want to move on and talk about that fifth type of woman, which is the beggar. And now the beggar, the begging woman is the woman uh, who really, her lack of self confidence is evident in the fact that she's always trying to do things to get men to notice her or like her or stay with her, but she's doing them to the detriment of her own well being. There's
Mm.
nothing wrong with doing to please a man, especially if it's your man. But when you're doing it to your own detriment, and begging someone to love you, please stay, please don't go. Okay, if you're going to step out on me and date another woman, please wear a condom. Please do that's pathetic. That's what that is. That's pathetic, and it shows that you don't really understand how awesome and amazing and valuable you truly are. You don't have to beg anybody to love you ever. Ever, ever, ever. The person you have to beg to love you is not worth your love. Because it will never be love. The man of your dreams is going to love you even if you decide you don't want him to love you. The man of your dreams, even if you say, don't love me, the man of your dreams is going to stick around and love you. You're not going to have to beg him or anybody else to love you. You are awesome all by yourself. So don't ever be that beggar that lowers your standards, to the point where you don't even recognize yourself and you're just doing to hopefully get someone else to pay attention to you. That will never attract the man of your dreams. The man of your dreams doesn't want you to have to beg him. All right. Now, the sixth woman, of course, is the confident woman. And the confident woman is the woman who doesn't need a man. Now, I know that sounds counterintuitive in terms of what we're talking about in terms of getting the man of your dreams. But the truth is, the confident woman doesn't need a man. It's not just because she's independent. Yes, she may be independent, but she gets her value of self. She gets her value from herself. She has self-love. She has self-respect. She has self-efficacy and self-confidence. So this is who you want to be. You want to be the confident woman. And if you notice, men flock to confident women. Men love women who don't necessarily need them. When I say need them, who are not needy of them. Men love women who have their own ideas and women who have their own lives and their own schedules and their own dreams and their own goals and their own plans. That's who men are most attracted to.
Mm.
And it's interesting that when you do become this confident woman, you attract even more men. And that's why a lot of times married women find it really hard to stay in. I shouldn't say. Let me rephrase that. That's why a lot of men are attracted to married women, because married women generally are more confident because they are being loved and they are getting their needs met, and men are attracted to that, even if the reason why this woman is this way is because she's in this other relationship. So be careful. Confidence is very powerful. And let's talk a little bit about what I believe in, or how you cultivate confidence and what confidence entails. So confidence, I made it into an acronym, and it's a little long, so you might want to write this down, or like we said, this is being recorded, so maybe you'll be able to read it later. But confidence stands for, the C stands for competence, the O stands for ownership, the N stands for nurture, F for give, I, your individuality, D, making a decision. E, elimination. N, notice. And T, T stands for together. So let me just go through this acronym really quickly. I see our time is going really fast. But the first C stands for competence. And this is really it. Confidence comes from competence. And competence is just your knowing as much as you can about who you are. And you always hear people say, you've got to know yourself. But competence in knowing yourself includes knowing your likes and your dislikes and not letting anyone force you to do something that you wouldn't otherwise do or something that wouldn't make you comfortable. Competence speaks to knowing what men want and what men are attracted to. But again, competence mostly speaks to yourself. What are your likes? What are your desires? What makes you feel comfortable? What are your plans? What are your goals? What are your dreams? That's where your competence comes in. What are you good at? What excites you? What turns you on? And the more you can engage and engulf yourself with the those best forms of you, the more confident you become. Just because you're not worried about what other people are seeing about you or what other people are thinking about you, because you're spending time cultivating your own passions, cultivating your own desires, being finding interests that you're things that you're interested in, and getting to know yourself. So that first C again is competence, which is the most important thing, I believe. Now, the O, like I mentioned before, is ownership. And that speaks to owning your story, owning the challenges that you've had in relationships in the past, not putting it off on anybody else, not blaming the man. I don't care if he beat you. Take some ownership of that. What role did you play? Not that you deserved it, but what role did you play in the relationship? Maybe the ownership that you could take is that, hey, you saw some red flags and you ignored them, right? Maybe the ownership that you could take is you made a you were trying to, let's say you were one of those 5 personalities that we just went over. So let's say you were begging him to love you. Let's just take some ownership, okay? Because what taking ownership does is it gives you back your power. If you're not able to take any ownership, then you have no control. You're saying that this is not something that I have control over at all. There's no control that I have over my future. There's no control that I have over what happens to me. And the truth is, you do have control, but you have to take ownership of that control. Now, the next thing, that N stands for nurture, and it's really about nurturing your spirit. And I say this because, a lot of times we think of ourselves as a body with a spirit in it. But I love what Deepak Chopra and some other people say. Think of yourself more as a spirit with a body. Now, we are emotional creatures and we're very spiritual. And when we deny our soul, our spirit, what we what our true essence is, when we don't nurture our spirit, that includes things like maybe walking in nature or listening to great music or doing those things that really help us to feel centered and feel most connected to our truest self. When we deny that part of ourselves, when we lose connection with our truest self and lose connection with our spirit, then we're going to do what other people say and we're going to lose connection with ourselves and we're not going to be able to attract that man of our dreams. So N again stands for nurture your spirit. That is where your power lies, and that is really what you want to be doing on a daily basis, not once in a while, daily. Now that F again stands for forgive. And it's something that I had to do. Chanel, maybe you had to do it yourself. Forgive yourself, maybe for some of the things that you feel were a mistake in your past. Forgive your past relationships that maybe didn't work out. And again, maybe they weren't your romantic relationships, maybe they were your paternal relationships, maybe they were other familial relationships with men. But you've got to get to a place where you're able to forgive, because what that forgiveness does is it opens up space for you to be able to love that perfect mate. It's going to be attracted to you because of your confidence. But if you're bitter, if you're holding a grudge, and if you haven't forgiven, that man will never be able to see how truly beautiful and wonderful you are. So it's really to your benefit to forgive, even if that person that's wronged you in the past has passed on or will never apologize. The forgiveness is not for them, it's for you to be able to attract that perfect man into your life. Um, I stands for individuality. And again, you think of it like this. You are so special. You know, I used to laugh at that saying that says you are unique just like everybody else. It's kind of like, how are you unique if everybody is unique? That's not unique. But the truth is, I think the older I get, the more I am struck by how amazing and awesome and unique each one of us is. It's kind of like a snowflake. It's amazing to think that in all of the history of all of the world, there
Eva, are you still there? I think that Eva lost connection and she should be back soon. So if you have any questions or any comments, this will be the best time to post them so that I can be able to let her know and we can answer them. You know, we have about 15 minutes left, so give me 1 second and let me see. I know sometimes the computer can act a little funny. Let me give her a call. Hey, I think you're not on the call anymore. We can't hear you or see you. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Isn't that gonna be what? Okay. Will this? Okay. So you look like. Okay. Thank you. All right. Sorry about that. Guess the internet kicked her off.
sorry about that, guys. Seems like we had a little technical difficulties. We lost some connection there, but we're still here. So, what was the last thing you heard, Chanel?
You were on I, and you were talking about individuality and being unique, and about the snowflakes all having their own uniqueness.
Okay. Well, I guess that's it. That's pretty much what I was saying, and I was just saying that. Listen, as unique as you are, um, there are unique men that are going to be attracted to you because of your individuality and because you are special. And so believe that. All right. So the D now stands for decision, and you have to make a decision to be loved. Now, this can be scary if you haven't really thought about it. If you've been saying, there are no good men, or, why can't I find a relationship, or what's wrong with me, then maybe you haven't actually made the decision to be loved. And making a decision to be loved sounds like I am lovable. I am, you know, amazing. And the man that is for me is just awesome. And I can't wait to meet him. And we're going to have a great life. And, you know, it's, when he comes into my life, I'm going to give my 110%, and he's going to give his 110%. And I'm not afraid to be loved, and I'm not afraid to love. And I embrace all of the things that come with all of the challenges that may come with love, even if they may hurt sometimes. Deciding to be loved means deciding to open yourself up to be hurt. It means deciding to open yourself up to be disappointed. It means deciding to be vulnerable. It means deciding to be uncomfortable and have uncomfortable conversations sometimes.
Eva,
Um, yes.
can you share your screen again?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was sharing. Okay. Good. Sorry.
Mhm.
That's right. That's right. Okay. So, deciding to be loved means uh, deciding, like I said, to be. You may be disappointed and you may be hurt, but it means opening up yourself to vulnerability. There's another social worker named Brene Brown who has written a wonderful book called The Power of Vulnerability. And um, she speaks eloquently on this whole idea about being vulnerable. But the truth is, unless you can decide to be loved and decide to open yourself up to hurt, possibly, you're never going to be able to really experience the fullness of love. It's always going to be kind of like a game, or you'll always be holding something back, or he'll always be holding something back. And that's not true love. True love is trust. True love is, yeah, having those hard conversations sometimes. True love means, um, being disappointed sometimes and learning and growing. But making that decision to be loved involves all of that. And when two people make that same decision to be loved, it can be a beautiful thing when you get to be vulnerable, and when you get to build that trust through vulnerability. Okay. Chanel, do I have any questions or comments as we're going along?
Not so far.
Not so far? Okay, good. I see our time is going though, so I'm going to really hurry up. Um, E stands for eliminating what doesn't make you happy. And again, we're talking about being confident, and a confident woman isn't afraid to say, "No, I'm not comfortable with this," or "No, I'm not going to do that." And again, it's kind of a delicate balance, right? It's a delicate balance between um, uh, being confident enough, or being independent enough. I'll say that, being independent enough to make your own decisions, but also being submissive enough to allow the man to lead you. But eliminating what doesn't make you happy is something that is easier to do now when if you're single. So if you're in a relationship already and there's been things that have been going on that you haven't been happy about, it's harder to say, listen, I know I said originally that I don't care if you put your feet on the table, but the truth is I hate that. So um, or saying, hey, I know I said I didn't mind you gambling, but the truth is it's really compromising my standards. You've got to be confident enough, or you've got to have enough. You may not be confident, hey, but this is how you build confidence. But you've got to be willing to eliminate those things that go against your standards, go against your values, or make you feel uncomfortable in any way. And listen, he either respects your decision and supports you, or he doesn't. And if he doesn't, then you get to make the decision whether or not this is someone who you want to remain in your life, who, if he doesn't respect your decision for eliminating some of the things that don't make you happy. And again, it is a balance. You may have to have some conversations, and there's different examples, right? So there's an example can be as simple as, like I mentioned, hey, not letting someone smoke in your house, or smoke around you or your child. Or the example could be something like it, you know, having him eliminate extra girls on the side if that's something that he has a propensity towards. So, there are different degrees of what makes you happy and what you'll stand for and what you won't stand for. But a confident woman isn't afraid to say, listen, these are my boundaries. This is what I can accept, and this is what I can't accept. And the confident man has to respect that, or he has to move on. Now, and I was saying, notice what you love. Now, just like we're saying, we're going to eliminate the things that we don't love, for the end, we're going to notice the things that we do love and notice the things that he loves as well. But notice the things that we love, and we're going to invest in those things. Um, if we notice that, hey, walking in nature really helps me to get centered, we're going to spend more time walking in nature. If we notice that, hey, exercising for 20 minutes a day really gets me energized, then we're going to do those things more often. Because the truth is, if you are filling yourself up with love and filling yourself up with those things that fill you up, then you're going to be a much nicer person to live with and to deal with, and you're going to be more confident. Because the other thing is, if confidence comes from successes in life, and when you're noticing what you love and noticing what makes you happy, those are small wins that you can have every day, several times a day, that build your confidence independent of a man and independent of a relationship. So you want to take a lot of time to notice what you love, and make sure that you connect with that as often as you can. And the last letter is T, which stands for togetherness. And togetherness speaks to, when we're talking about confidence, togetherness is really about whether or not you have that relationship in your life or not, but getting together with people who also make you happy, sharing with positive people, and showing support, and love and genuinity, for those things that are lovely, are beneficial. Togetherness really speaks about other people, and men love women who are supportive and who connect with others, um, sincerely. So that's where that togetherness comes in. So if you're able to um, grow competence, have your own, take ownership, nurture your spirit, forgive, be your own individual, and decide to be loved, if you're able to eliminate what doesn't make you happy and notice what you love and show that togetherness, you are well on your way to being that confident woman that men just die for. They have to have. So that's what I wanted to share with you guys today. Um, I used to do a lot more kind of relationship coaching, and I kind of take my cues from mentors like Tony Robbins and Gary, was it John Gray with the 5 love languages. However, now I do more, like Chanel was saying, I do business coaching. And that, I hope, Chanel, maybe you can vouch for this, but would you say that you've gained some confidence since building your business chops?
Absolutely.
Oh,
I think
great.
confidence is a fluid thing,
Uh-huh.
and just being aware that, sometimes it goes in waves, but I know that I'm more of a confident person. I would never be doing a webinar like this if I wasn't more confident in my life, in my relationship, and be able to share my story with everyone. So, and help others. I'm
Great.
confident that I can. And this webinar is definitely going to give people the tools and strategies to do the same.
Okay, great, great, great. Wonderful. So then I would just say to our viewers today that if anybody is interested in looking into building an online business, they can connect with me. But hey, otherwise, ladies, Chanel is your relationship guru. So I would definitely refer you right back to her, to get some real great one-on-one kind of coaching as far as getting that love that you deserve is. And I should also say that, I'm also in a great relationship myself. But the only reason I'm able to be in this wonderful relationship is because, my guy is, because I'm confident, like we were saying, Chanel. And I would not have been able to attract him had I not cultivated these um, 9 qualities myself. So I encourage you ladies to do the same. Did we have any other questions, Chanel?
Yes, Sandra wanted to know, how do you get out of the victim stage, because she feels that she really identifies with that and it has happened in a lot of her relationships. So how do you get
Right.
out of that stage?
Yeah. So you, it's kind of it's gonna be hard. When I say hard to hear, Sandra. Sandra, is that her name?
Hmm.
Yeah. So Sandra, it may be a little hard to hear, but if you can just decide that you were responsible. If you can imagine that you have made the mistakes, that you're the ones that are, I wouldn't even say make the mistakes. Let me give you an example, Sandra. I'm not explaining it very well. Let me give you an example. Um, I live in Jamaica, and I have a home, and there was a woman that was living in my home. She was renting out my home. And I uh, couldn't get her out of the house. I really wanted to get the house back, but she wouldn't leave. And I had to say, okay, what what have I done, or how is this my doing that this woman doesn't want to leave my house? How is this my doing? Now, anybody else looking on, and the way I looked at it for a long time was, she was the one that was being unreasonable. She was the one that didn't want to move. It was my
Yeah,
house. Yes.
she I think Sandra said she can't hear anyone. I'm not sure if what's going on again, but I could.
Oh,
But you can keep on talking.
I'm
She
not.
can always get.
Okay. Okay. So, Sandra, I just had to turn it on its head and say, okay, if this woman isn't coming out of my house, how have I, sorry, how have I contributed to that? If she doesn't want to leave my house, how have I made her not want to leave my house? What have I done? And I had to just decide that it was my responsibility, and that if any behavior that she had, I had to decide that her behavior was based off of me, that I was responsible. So I had to say, okay, the reason why she's not leaving my house is probably because I'm sorry, my phone keeps ringing. But the reason why she doesn't want to leave my house is because, you know, I didn't give her notice in time. I haven't given her enough notice. So this is my responsibility. This is why she hasn't left yet. Or another reason why she hasn't left yet is because I have made it very comfortable for her. So that's another reason. Another reason why she hasn't left is because I. So Sandra, what I would say to you, and what I've had to do, what I had to learn to do myself to get out of that victim mentality, is I had to put I in front of it. Instead of saying he's done this, she's done that, I've had to say this is what I have done, and get really creative about what I have done. Whether it's true or not is irrelevant. The What you want to do is, you want to, like you said, get out of that victim mentality and start learning to take ownership.
Okay. Yeah, so I agree with that. Is just really having the insight. I think with you being able to present those different personalities, the first step is really being aware of that, and taking responsibility, like Eva said. I know for the longest, and your friends won't tell you this because, we all side like, what is that guy doing or whatever? Oh, he did this. But it's hard to hear, but some of the stuff really is you taking responsibility and making a choice not to play that role anymore, to find a balance. And like Eva said, to be more confident, um, and to know that everyone has a role in the relationship. So I agree.
Yeah, right. Um, any more questions? I see on the Facebook page, Sandra says, "I wish I was as confident as you." Sandra, this is a work in progress, girl. Listen, it's something we grow to, and I think as women, you know, subconsciously we don't learn to be confident. We're demeaned all the time. Like, we hear things like, you're a sissy. If a boy acts like a girl, he's a sissy, and sissy is bad. Or if a boy does anything like a girl, we say, oh, you do that like a girl, and it's supposed to be demeaning. And we internalize that stuff subconsciously. We don't really understand how it plays out, but it does play out in our relationships, and we end up self-sabotaging ourselves. So, you guys are all in the right place, because the great thing is you are willing to learn about yourselves and to learn how to change. So you are exactly in the right place where you're supposed to be. So kudos to everyone on the call and everybody that's going to be listening to the recording. Any other questions, Chanel?
Nope, that's all.
That's it.
So,
Okay, awesome. Well, then that's all I have to share. Do you have something else you want to say?
I want to thank everyone for being a part of today's presentation. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. We're going to have our marriage and family therapist, Shanae Russell, speak tomorrow. I'm really excited to hear more about her. And she has a lot of knowledge, a lot of expertise. And I really want to, progress this. It's really, you have to learn about yourself. You have to be more confident. You have to be more self-accepting. So, it's going to progress. We're really talking about self now, and down the line, we're going to talk about those strategies on how to get that man once you become that sexy, irresistible woman that you are. So again, thank you for being a part of this call today, and I hope to see you all tomorrow. Thank you. Have a good night.